If you've ever been to California, you've probably noticed that there is something weird about the packaging. And no, I'm not talking about the fact that everything is vegan, cruelty-free, and costs a fortune. I'm talking about one little label that seems to appear everywhere in the state. A warning to the consumer that the product they are buying contains cancer-causing chemicals. But the consumer's confused. After all, they're just buying coffee and bread, which don't seem to cause cancer anywhere else. Seriously, you can buy a bag of coffee in Lake Tahoe, California that says it causes cancer, then drive just across the state border to Reno, Nevada, and buy the same bag of coffee, but with no warning. This confusion is because of a single weird and convoluted state law, only in California, the Safe Drinking Water and Toxic Enforcement Act of 1986, better known as Prop 65. At its core, the law is actually pretty simple. If a product contains a chemical that California believes is carcinogenic, then you need to put a warning label on the packaging, or be subjected to fines and lawsuits. However, the devil is always in the details, which is why this law can actually be pretty confusing. So today, we're diving into how this law came about, and why it's actually pretty confusing for consumers. In the early 1980s, Californians became increasingly concerned about the safety of their drinking water. The state had a long history of industrial pollution, leading to worries that toxic chemicals were seeping into the water supply, causing cancer and other health problems. In response, California passed Prop 65 in 1986, which required businesses to provide a warning label on products containing chemicals known to cause cancer, birth defects, or other reproductive harm. This law was designed to provide consumers with important information about the products they were buying and to encourage businesses to find safer alternatives to those chemicals. However, over time, the list of chemicals covered by Prop 65 grew to include hundreds of common substances, including some that were more questionable than others. For example, acrylamide, which is found in coffee, and THC, which is found in marijuana, were added to the list, causing confusion and frustration among businesses and consumers alike. The broad nature of the Prop 65 law has also led to criticism of its effectiveness. With hundreds of chemicals on the list, many of which are present in only minute amounts, some people have argued that the warning labels are so common that they have lost their meaning entirely.
Because they don't tell you how much is in there, it's almost impossible for the consumer to sort of figure out unless they maybe contact the manufacturer.
Furthermore, some critics argue that the law has caused businesses to focus on compliance rather than on finding safer alternatives to harmful chemicals. This has led to a situation where companies are more concerned with avoiding legal trouble than with improving the safety of their own products. The drama surrounding Prop 65 doesn't end there. The law was also enforced through fines and lawsuits, with businesses that violated the law potentially facing hefty penalties. Enterprising individuals realized that they could make a living by suing businesses that violated Prop 65, becoming known as bounty hunters. These individuals would file lawsuits on behalf of the state or themselves, claiming that a business had failed to provide the required warning labels. The bounty hunters could collect a percentage of the fines that were imposed on businesses, leading some to question whether they were doing a public service or simply looking for a quick payday. So picture this, you're a small business owner in California, you're trying to do the right thing by putting warning labels on your products, but the list of chemicals covered by Prop 65 is so long and confusing that you're not sure if you're even doing it right. And then one day, you get served with a lawsuit from a bounty hunter who claims that you're violating the law. You're now stuck between a rock and a hard place. If you fight the lawsuit, you could end up spending a lot of money on legal fees and fines. But if you settle, you're essentially giving in to what feels like legal extortion. It's a classic California catch-22, and the only situation is to move to Texas with Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. Jokes aside, complying with Prop 65 can be a daunting task for small business owners. The list of chemicals covered by the law is extensive and confusing, leading many businesses to feel like they're walking on eggshells. In many cases, businesses with less than perfect legal representation have been hit with large lawsuits from bounty hunters, claiming that they violated the law. This puts small business owners in a difficult spot, where they must choose between fighting the lawsuit and potentially spending a significant amount of money on legal fees, or settling and feeling like they're giving in. In conclusion, Prop 65 has a complex history and has led to confusion and frustration among businesses and consumers alike. While the law was intended to protect Californians from harmful chemicals, it has become a source of tension for many. As California continues to grapple with the challenges of toxic chemical exposure, it remains to be seen how Prop 65 will evolve in the future.